when we were born, and I'm going to use that term because that's what we are all accustomed to, but when we were born physically into this world, from that moment we are conditioned, which then means that we are programmed based on the environment and the surrounding that we're in. We were born into a certain condition. It doesn't matter whether or not you were born on the spiritual side and you have parents or guardian who were able to take you through the whole realm and everything was fine that way and you were enlightened from the very beginning, to where you are absolutely secluded and don't know anything, to being right in the middle of where most of society is, still having a certain form of religion. The trick here is to figure out, is that the environment that I need to be in or I needed to be in at that moment? As I said, whatever part of the spectrum you're from, we all sort of ask the question every now and again, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? Why am I here? All these questions that we seem to ask later on that we try to use to define this physical experience. Wherever you are along the line, we exist to experience. But anyone that listens to my videos or watch my videos, to be comfortable with where they are, one, and two, determine where you want to go. You need to be comfortable with where you are and then determine where you want to go. Being comfortable with where you are doesn't mean that you're going to like where you are, doesn't mean that you're sad where you are or you're happy where you are. A comfort level is based on an awareness of the fact that that's where you are. You have had experiences that have brought you to this current point, physically, mentally, and emotionally. That determines who you currently are. So you got to be comfortable with that. Then from there, the process then says, who am I really? Am I really based on those three conditions, or am I based on something else? You may be based on those three conditions, or you may be based on something else. Depending on your level of understanding, your level of awareness, there are some that says everything is externally predetermined. So where you are was not your choice. Then there are others that says we actually chose every step of the way, and we chose who our parents were going to be, what situations we're going to be born into, what experiences we're going to have during life, and how we're going to navigate that. So you're talking about one that says absolute no choice whatsoever and absolute freedom of choice. And then you have something in the middle, right? You have the spectrum in the middle. You have to figure out, well, where are you on that pole, and realize when you are at the polarity, and then say, okay, how can I be in balance and come more to the center? And then once I'm there, I have to know what's gonna bring me to one side or the other without using judgment. So it's without using judgment, but using discernment, which is a little different. So every time you say this, it's the same thing. I'm comfortable with where I'm at, and now here's where I want to go. I'm comfortable with where I'm at, and here's where I want to go. Because in my environment and where I'm at currently in my life, my physical life right now, I am comfortable where I'm at, and here's where I want to go. Okay. My comfort level can say, well, I'm comfortable where I'm at, but I was hoping I would have been there. Or I'm comfortable with where I'm at, but it would have been nice if I were here. And so you sort of use that contrast to move through life. But really understanding that and taking the time out, thinking through some of those might actually be helpful. Today I was cleaning off my desk and I came across some of my notes from before, and I said, maybe I can go through them. So I have them here with me. So here is the first line of this. It says, identify what I believe to be my challenges. Work on reducing their effect. Analyze them to figure out their hold or trigger on me. This is really after you have gone in and understand who you really are. So it depends on the stage of the journey that you're at. So you can identify what I believe to be my challenges, because you might believe your challenges are inside, you might believe your challenges are outside, which are basically the two opposites. And if it's inside, what part of the inside? If it's outside, what part of the outside? And then with that, what do I take responsibility for? I do believe that for the entire journey, you're taking responsibility is what's most important, right? Because all this has to do with you. Okay? It has to do with you. It has to do with how you feel, what you want to do, how you're going to go through it. It has to do with your emotion. It has to do with your understanding of your own journey. Everyone else and everything else are all players on your stage. You are the main actor or actress. You are the main person. You are the main character. And so you'll need to understand and figure out how it is that each character, each supporting cast is going to relate to that main character. So here is where the internal process of understanding who you are, or you're going to be upset, how do certain things trigger you, right? So it says, so identify what I believe to be my challenges. Work on reducing their effect. Interesting thing is, you can work on your challenges. And sometimes working on your challenges might mean that you're going to avoid them first because you don't understand how to actually work on them until you are ready to face them and be friends with your challenges. Okay, so it's really from the avoidance to being able to give them their space to say, okay, I know who you are, I know why you're here, I know what's going on, because the understanding is that everything needs its own space, needs its own expression to go through, right? And it's not just challenges. It's challenges and pleasures, because sometimes pleasures have a greater hold on us than our challenges. By default, we run away from our challenges and hold on for dear life to our pleasures. Again, that's the spectrum. We exist to experience, and we're supposed to try to experience pleasure. So I'm not telling anyone that they should not pursue pleasure and happiness. What I'm saying is, understand the balance. Understand when either too much pleasure or too many challenges are holding us back. Right? Understand that. And so that's where you're going to do your inside work. That's why it says, work on reducing their effect. And that's reducing their effect on your mindset, on your day-to-day life, on what it is that you do, on its influence, or the influence from different people, places, and things around you. And this has to do with your states of health. So analyze them to figure out their hold or their trigger. Generally, it's a hold is something that keeps you there. So you may be held in depression, you may be held in pleasure. If you cannot detach yourself from it at your will at any point in time without telling yourself that, well, I don't have anything to prove to anybody. If you can't just detach yourself from it, you have a hold. Or the trigger. If you cannot control the emotional response you have to something, that's a trigger. Someone says a word, or someone says a word and it's, right? Or they do something, or you smell something, and these things are triggers, and it gives you a very intense reaction, right? And you know what an intense reaction is. I don't have to go through any, well, I don't really think that's intense. It might just bother me a little. Well, that's just you trying to convince yourself about something. And well, depending on where you are and how you have done certain internal work will determine what your self-talk is going to be, right? And how much you're going to try to convince yourself of as to what is the hold and what is the trigger. So the line underneath that says, your best is good enough. That is really true. Your best is good enough. But your best is good enough statement has to come from a place of equality and not ego. Well, my best is good enough, so I'm just not gonna bother with it. That's more the ego talking, right? My best is good enough, and this is really as much as I can do right now, and I feel light about it. I don't feel as if I have hurt anyone. I don't feel as if I don't have love for myself or anyone in making this decision. When you can say your best is good enough, and you said, I have taken inspired action to get here, then your best is good enough. When you're able to say, you know what, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and I'm mindful of who I am and where I'm at, then your best is good enough. You're going to critique your best is good enough based on the 5 principles, right? By saying, is this showing unconditional love to all? Is this freedom of choice to all? Is this do no harm to all? And remember that all includes you. Then, have I taken inspired action? And with all this, I am going to give thanks for what I've done, where I'm at, different people around. I'm going to be grateful that I've had this opportunity to be able to do this for myself. And I'm going to be mindful that I am a part of the universe. I'm a part of a spiritual being and a physical being, and I have the relationship with other people around me. And this is all a medium of exchange that we're going through. And so therefore, you will be doing this with yourself and through others. Hopefully that helped. Until next time. I was really thinking about, what is this all about? What does this really mean for us here? And one of the things I realized is I want to do this so that we can all express ourselves, be able to address this form of spirituality, whatever that form of spirituality is and whatever it means to us in our own way.